Why, hello there, it is 85 days until Elden Ring comes out on February 25th, 2022, and this is the Elden Ring Countdown where every day until launch, we talk about another item description from the network test. Let's get into it. So our item for the day is the spell Magic Bubble, and Magic Bubble says, a lost ancient glintstone sorcery used by wretches who dwell in underground ruins, produces several bubbles of magic that drift until they naturally pop. Charging up this sorcery makes the bubbles linger for a longer time. The Magic Bubble item description is relatively simple, but it makes some interesting connections. So it is described as a lost ancient glintstone sorcery, and it is used by wretches who dwell in underground ruins. And we know from the meteorite spell talked about the other day that the Eternal City is now an underground ruin. So it seems very likely that Magic Bubble is a lost ancient sorcery from the Eternal City. And who are these wretches who dwell in the underground ruins now? Could it be these little goblin people who we saw in this one shot from the gameplay trailer? And who are they? Are they people who took up residence in the ruins, or could they be descendants from the Eternal City? And taking this connection with the Eternal City in mind, the spell does not use the sigil that is like this purple sort of impact looking thing that is used by the Great White Stone King who is associated with the Eternal City, but it is its own sigil that is almost white, and it has what looks like a sorcerer's staff and some other type of weapon or implement crossing above what looks to be like a house or some sort of structure. Okay, wait. So before we continue, hi, editing Sean here. We're going to talk about Karya. That's going to be exciting. But when I was editing, I noticed something and I have to bring it into the video. So I was talking about what this sigil might represent. And I noticed, so I thought when I was originally talking about it, that the staff and whatever else this is crossing over were like informing the shape of the building, and that this was like a house or like a Greek temple and there was like a frieze above it. But then I realized it's actually in front of this whole thing, and I looked first at this image that shows the entrance, but then I noticed that it looked kind of familiar, and that's when I decided to compare it to this image, which shows this guy sitting in his like chair building, and I realized it kind of looks like the chair building. And maybe I'm just going crazy here, but I think it does look similar, like with the arch right in the front. I'm not really sure what the two openings or whatever flanking it, but then you can kind of see the arms of the chair going up, and then on the back of the chair there's a similar looking like pattern of like the swirly pattern, and I can't help but wonder if that is sort of what it is supposed to represent, which maybe this is nothing and maybe I'm just, making shit up. But if it is what this is supposed to represent, then that means this image is more significant than maybe we originally thought, which is interesting. I thought it was cool and I just had to share it before getting this video out. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, Sean, you can go talk about Karya now. And what struck me here is that this has connections to the Carrion sigil that cannot be ignored. They're very similar. They both have like weapons crossing each other, and even the flourishes around the Carrion symbol are identical to the sigil. And I think this sigil is likely to relate to glintstone sorcery coming out of the Eternal City that may not be related to the great king who dwelled there. And what is interesting about that is then that gives us some potential history about the Carrion royal family, because the similarities are so strong and the Eternal City seems to be older. So does that mean that the Carrion royal family is somehow related to the Eternal City? Obviously we won't know until release, but there are some interesting connections to keep in mind, because I think there is something there with this, and the similarities in the sigils make it so that they have to be connected in some way just because they're so similar, even if it just comes down to the Carrion royal family for some reason copying the Eternal City. But I think it is more likely that the Eternal City and the Carrion royal family are somehow connected, which means that the Carrion royal family and the Great White Stone King is also somehow related to the Carrion family, and it'll be interesting to see how all these connections pan out. So there you have it, day 85, the magic bubble spell, and it's an interesting one. We're starting to get some interesting connections going on between the items, especially as we continue to look at them and build out, and it's pretty cool. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, and if you want to stay up to date for more item descriptions and then tons of content about Elden Ring coming out after launch, please consider subscribing to the Lore Hunter channel. Thanks for watching.